Hey everyone, Jim here from Jim's EV Adventures. This will be the first video of 2026, and it's actually going to be a review of our year in 2025, and what a year it has been. I want to thank you all for stopping by. If you've been with me, you know that we've covered the full EV journey. Charging infrastructure, tire myths, the real cost of going electric. Today I want to look at what you, the audience, actually cared about. Which videos hit, which topics resonated, which series became the backbone of this channel. I can make all the content I want, but you decide what matters. And in 2025, you made your voice heard loud and clear. Let's break the year down. Let's walk through what worked and celebrate the series that grew into something bigger than I ever expected. EV Bunk Blasters. So here we go. The numbers tell the stories. In 2025, I published 99 videos, nearly 2 a week every week. Some weeks were heavier than others. In July alone, I had 10 uploads, and that consistency paid off. Across those 99 videos, the channel pulled in almost 500,000 views. Not viral territory, just steady, healthy growth for a channel focused on real EV ownership. Unscripted, unbiased, and never subsidized. And I want to reiterate here, I will never ask you to pay for a membership or send you over to Patreon to pay money there. This channel has been and will always remain free to you, the viewer. 1 month stood out, and again, that was July of 2025. I had over 200,000 views in 31 days and more than 8,000 likes. That's nearly half the year's views in a single month. And why? Well, that's when EV Bunk Blasters really took off. And the engagement pattern backed it up. Here's what you actually watched and why it landed. Now we're going to talk about the top performers. The top video of 2025 was EV Bunk Blasters Episode 5, What Tire Companies Won't Tell EV Owners. To date, it's had about 170,000 views, nearly 6,000 likes, and 425 comments. That wasn't just a hit, it actually defined the year. It worked because it tackled a real concern, tire wear, and it didn't sugarcoat it. It was direct, factual, no noise. That's Bunk Blasters, where we cut through the myths and get to the truth. Tires were a theme all year long. 5 things nobody tells you about buying EV tires in March cleared 31,000 views. People want clarity on what's real and what's exaggerated, and they're done with the fear-mongering. Ownership content also performed. The 1-year review, What I Learned After 18,000 Miles in My Ioniq 5 in August, earned over 18,000 views with a very high engagement rate, 6.35%. It was simple and honest, what it's actually like to live with an EV for a year. New model interest also showed up. What makes the new 2027 Chevrolet Bolt so special in October drew over 17,000 views. That's clear excitement for an affordable, practical EV that doesn't require a second mortgage. And network coverage mattered. BP Pulse, the sleeping giant has awakened back in January of last year, hit nearly 15,000 views with a 9.94% engagement rate. That early call on BP Pulse's charging ramp resonated, especially for real-world road tripping. The pattern is clear. The best performers answer real questions, debunk myths, or offer unfiltered takes on what's actually happening in the world of EVs. No fluff, no clickbait, just substance. Now let's talk about the series that changed everything, EV Bunk Blasters. I launched that series in June of 2025 with Episode 1, Are EVs Ruining Our Roads? It started as an experiment. Take the most common myths about EVs and dismantle them one by one. By year end, we have published 20 episodes, nearly one every 2 weeks. The response has been overwhelming. Again, Episode 5 about tire myths, 170,000 views. Episode 17, battery myths about LFP versus NMC, almost 11,000 views. Episode 9, can 100 million EVs work today? 7,500 views. Episode 8, EVs are taking over faster than you think, 5,500 views. Episode 13, the truth about EV tires, a continuation of the tire myth thing, another 5,500 views. It wasn't just views, it was the comments, the debates, the shares. People using these videos to counter the same tired myths at family dinners and at work meetings. Again, a few episodes stood out. One of my favorites, episode 4, EV fires versus gas car fires. Which are actually more dangerous? EV fires make headlines, but gas cars catch on fire far more often, 60 times more often. The data is clear. The narrative is skewed. This EV Bunk Blasters set that record straight. And then in episode 6, we talked about the shocking truth about EV emissions. EVs are as dirty as gas cars. I hear that all the time. We showed the math. Even on a coal-heavy grid, EVs are cleaner, and the gap widens as the grid gets greener. In episode 7, we talked about the biggest EV energy myth. We broke down energy efficiency. EVs convert 85% or more of their energy into motion. Gas cars top out at around 30%. That's not even a close call. In episode 10, you thought CO2 was safe. Think again. That was a crossover into real environmental impact of carbon emissions. Science, not talking points. Engagement on that video hit 15.47% because it challenged assumptions on both sides. And then in episode 12, EV charging myths blasted in minutes. Charging anxiety is often built on outdated information and worst-case scenarios. We showed what charging actually looks like in 2025, and I ended the year with a 1,100-mile family road trip to prove that point even more. And it's much easier than it was at the beginning of 2025. In episode 19, I said your Tesla versus a gas car, which actually costs more. We compared lifetime material consumption. Gas cars burn through thousands of gallons of gasoline that can never be recovered, extracting from the ground day after day after day. EV battery materials can be recycled. The difference is absolutely stark. And in episode 20, we took that a little step further. Why gas cars cost way more than you think. And there we talked about the hidden cost of gas cars. The fuel, yes, but oil changes, transmission repairs, and maintenance that EVs simply do not need. Again, the total cost of ownership for an EV is substantially lower than it is for a gas car. Now, here's why I love this series. It's not about pushing anyone to buy an EV. It's about the truth, facts, clear explanations, real data, so people can make informed decisions in a noisy, misinformed environment. That's what Bunk Blasters does, and based on your response, it's exactly what you want more of. So that's where we're going in 2026. So, looking ahead into 2026, EV Bunk Blasters will continue, and it will grow. There are still myths out there to bust, new FUD to counter, and real questions to answer. I've got topics lined up, and I'm taking suggestions. Drop your favorite myths that you're tired of in the comments, and we'll see what we can do about them. But we're also going to do more real-world charging infrastructure reviews. The Walmart video from November set the tone. New networks are launching, existing ones are improving, and you need to know what actually works. No sponsorships, no sugarcoating, just honest reviews. And then we're going to dive deeper into EV ownership. The one-year Ioniq 5 review performed because it was honest. Year 2 is coming, and there's more to share. I'm also watching the 2027 Bolt with interest, and if I can get my hands on one, you'll be the first to know, and I will do a long-term review on that if General Motors is happy with what I'm doing. And then more engagement with you. This community asks tough questions, challenges assumptions, and shares real-world experience. Keep that coming. It makes the channel better. But as for the hate and angst that I get in some of the comments, you best just leave that at home. I have deleted over 150 people from this channel because of their hate and angst. That will not be tolerated on this channel. So in closing, I want to say that 2025 was a good year for this channel. And it was a great year for the EV community despite the end of the tax breaks. We'll talk about that more in 2026 as well. But keep this in mind, over 18.5 million EVs sold globally through November. That's more than any other year on record. New charging networks are launching. Legacy automakers are taking EVs seriously, especially General Motors. The transition to electric isn't a far-off idea. It's happening right now. Growth brings resistance. The myths will get louder. Misinformation will spread faster. And that's why channels like this matter. So let's be clear. No, EVs are not a disaster. No, they're not dirtier than gas cars. No, they won't destroy the grid. And no, you're not being lied to by big EV. You're being misled by people with a vested interest in keeping you dependent on oil. That's a fact. And that's what EV Bunk Blasters is for. That's what this channel is for. And that's what we will keep doing in 2026. But I still need your help. If you've been here all year, thank you. If you're new, welcome. If you're on the fence, stick around because the facts are on our side. And the truth will win. Happy New Year. Let's make 2026 the best EV year ever. And I'll see you out there or somewhere along the route from point A to point B. So take it easy. See you all real soon.